Hey y'all, if we haven't met yet, my name is Julia and I am on the eKids Online team, which is such a blessing. Yeah. But one of the most important facts about me is that I'm a James Madison University Duke. I'm very proud of my college. Back in my college season, I directed my school student newscast. I owned a photography business, still do. But I worked part-time at my school's marketing department, led a small group in my college ministry, was really involved in the local church. You can kind of get the picture here because I very much put my identity into people knowing who I was and what I did.
Wow, yeah.
More importantly, just loading up that resume, literally my calendar looked like a little Lego house where there was no space in between to breathe, and I was proud of it. But don't get me wrong, my calendar looks the exact same going into this experience, and so I kind of carried this mindset into going into this internship. People wanted to know who I am and who I was. And maybe like the little block on the calendar, it may look like my lovely supervisor Tanner asking me to run to the store and to get some marshmallows. And so I go to the store, positive attitude, happy heart, let's get some marshmallows so Jake can play Chubby Bunny. And so looking for them, I got the marshmallows, bring them back to Matthew's, and we're getting ready for pre-record to shoot the show afterwards. And so the pre-record comes around, we're getting ready to shoot our post-show, and Tanner goes, "Where are the marshmallows?" And I go, "They're in Matthew's." So your girl went to Harris Teeter, got the marshmallows, brought them back. And again, I did this all with a smile on my face, did not complain. But maybe what Tanner didn't see is that my heart was so discouraged, so exhausted. I had one small thing to do, and I messed it up. And so he just didn't see that. My heart was just like really empty and really worn out because just the calendar just being so packed, right? And so I was gonna do my 7 on humility, and I'm touching on it a lot, but I realized what I was wrestling with in this experience was a lot deeper. And it's sanctification and becoming more like Christ. And so we have to humble ourselves in order to become more like Christ. So they're all related here. And so that's something I was really, really wrestling with. And so a passage or a verse that's really just been declared over this season of my life is 1 Thessalonians 5:23 through 24. And to give a little bit of background, this is Paul writing to Thessalonica. And basically, Paul had to leave, and now the Thessalonians didn't really have a mentor with them to look up to, so he wrote them this letter. And so he ends it with these final instructions, and it's a promise that says, "May God himself, the God of peace, sanctify you through and through. May your whole spirit, soul, and body be kept blameless at the coming of our Lord Jesus Christ. The one who calls you is faithful, and he will do it." He will do it. Thank God our good works don't save us alone, right? Because being so worn out and exhausted, it's a sign of an impressive heart. And Mary said it on the first day, and it stuck with me. One of her biggest pieces of advice to go through this internship is to be impactful and not impressive. And so he will do it. He will sanctify us if we partner with him in the work that we do here. And so it brings me to the story of Mary and Martha. And if you aren't familiar with it, it's in Luke 10. You can chat about it later. But to give some background, Mary's working in the kitchen, getting food ready because Jesus and the disciples are coming over. And in Jewish custom, it is so important to have your house ready for your guests, or else it's just looked down upon. And Martha's very frustrated because it says that Mary's sitting at the feet of Jesus. And so Jesus kind of calls Martha out when Martha says, "Hey, Jesus, get Mary to help me out." And Jesus says, "Mary's chosen what is right, and it cannot be taken away from her." And you kind of have to read between the lines because in a sense that Martha is preparing everything according to worldly expectations, right? And so if we look at Mary's posture towards Jesus, if we read between the lines, in her posture, she's actually studying to be a rabbi. She's positioned at the feet of Jesus. So she's not, when we say, don't do work, just sit at the feet of Jesus. He doesn't mean actually sit. She's actively sitting at the feet of Jesus, learning to become more like him, which is sanctification. And so actively sitting instead of having a mindset being impressive, but being impactful when we partner with him.
Yeah.
And so I'm sure we're all in the same boat in being discouraged, frustrated, exhausted, because maybe some of the things that we're doing here, it's not what we really came to do, like getting marshmallows or setting up chairs, things as simple, Starbucks orders, stuff as simple as that. And so I encourage you to just take a look at your heart and kind of recognize like what motives are trying to make you impressive. And so kind of what Taylor was touching on earlier, it's so important for God to be known and not us. Like we'll be known in the process, and like, but the good news is that like God still uses you trying to be impressive. Like He still uses it. You can still be impactful, but how much more fruitful would it be if you partnered with Him while you do it? And so going back, why did I bring up the marshmallows? Well, really thinking about it and discussing it with Tanner, it was maybe just a small part in humoring a child all the way across the world. We have children watching from India and like all the way across the country, or not just the country, the world. And maybe that's humoring them, and it may indirectly bring them to Jesus. Like how much more fruitful is that if we have the perspective that we're in a global ministry, and what a blessing that is, right? Like before in college, I feel like I was being stretched so thin, but it was only for my own self-promotion. And how, like, sure, I touched some lives along the way, but now we're being stretched so thin, but it's propelling us forward into God's purpose for us. And so, I want to leave you with this to apply it is just to be extremely intentional with what you're doing right now. I know a lot of us are thinking about the future. I know I am. But I think the best thing we can do is God called us to a people, and He's called you to whatever you're doing right now, no matter how small it is. And just seek first His kingdom and His righteousness, right? And all these things will be given to you.
Right.
Thank you.